And welcome into the Rowdy Studios. My name is Bassmasters. Way over there is Buzz Cutler, in the middle, Bob Pockrass of Scene Daily, because it is Bob Pockrass Tuesday. Pretty darn awesome. Let's talk a little bit, Bob, about Jimmie Johnson, because I know you were asked before the race, is Jimmie done? Which seemed to be, in hindsight especially, rather a foolish question. But even before the race at Dover, you at least got to see what the man does at Dover. And a lot was also made about Jimmie and Chad having a little spat on the radio at New Hampshire, and it was exceedingly minor, in my opinion.
Was it a marital spat? Was it a brotherly spat?
Yes.
Was it a brother-sister spat?
Where do you assess Jimmie
please
now?
define that.
I think their relationship is much more marital than fraternal.
Okay.
Jimmie Johnson is
In
what?
a plutonic sense, sort of.
He's plutonic or platonic?
Both.
He's 13 points out. So he's gained back a lot of what he lost in the first two races. Where do you assess him, his mindset, his chase chances heading to Kansas, which is a good track for him?
I mean, they're obviously, better than they were a week ago, right? Yep. He jumped up from, 29 points back to 13. He's not going to make that big a jump any other time soon, because I don't think the two guys in the lead, you had Stewart and Harvick in the lead, and they both struggled a little bit. Stewart mightily, Harvick was able to kind of salvage a good finish. So I don't expect to see huge jumps. I mean, this year, Jimmie still doesn't look as dominant as he has in past years.
Does he look about where he was last year as far as racing the equipment, or not quite that good?
Last year at this time he had
He'd
5
won
or 6
a bunch
wins,
of races,
right?
yeah.
And right now he's still, the only place he's won is Talladega. And I know that, and if I'm him or if I'm looking from the outside, that's a big deal. And until he's still going to need win some races. Now, he definitely is a guy who can do it compared to a guy like Dale Earnhardt Jr., who's
doesn't have the speed to make up that kind of deficit.
Right. So I wouldn't put it past Jimmie to get back on top, but I still think it's going to be tough. And not counting him out, but I certainly not going to say, well, it's his to lose.
Now, in terms of the Jimmie-Chad Knaus relationship, I mean, we all know the milk and cookies story where those guys almost broke up and Mr. Hendrick brokered a reconciliation. It seems to me that their relationship has this fire that allows them to push one another.
Yeah, even if they don't win the championship, they've won 5 crowns in 6 years.
Right.
Would that mean, oh man, I'm going to need to break that up?
Yeah. Boy, I tell you, one down year like that, you got to just rethink everything.
And I know that a lot of it is kind of living in the now and your current performance.
Yeah.
Where they are in the standings and what they've done this year, I don't think merits any sort of, they've lost this huge edge as far as their relationship. They've lost maybe some of the edge in performance, but I don't think their relationship
isn't really that different. I mean, that's my question. Is it really that different from what it was?
They snipe at each other
last year, the year before that, based on what you're saying.
Once in a while they'll snipe at each other, and I've never seen them as two guys who want to hang out with each other on the weekends that they're not racing or anything like that. I mean, I don't see them as great buddies, as far as best friends, but they're great they have a great work relationship, and I think they can say, don't yell at me once in a while.
Yeah, are there any crew chiefs and drivers who are buddy-buddy and hang out together on the weekends?
And never get on each other's nerves.
I mean, honestly, can you think of any driver and crew chief who are like best friends?
Forget that. Can you think of any two people that spend that much time together and work that closely together doing anything that don't get on each other's nerves? Any two people in the whole world.
Hate you.
I know.
I've seen you guys at least driving cars together to racetrack, so you can't hate each other.
That's because the company will only rent us one car.
Oh,
exactly.
Okay.
Otherwise, separate cabs.
I mean, I think I've seen, I would say that, Tony and Zippy in their day were probably, pretty tight and still are. I would, there's probably, I want to say probably Ryan Newman and Tony Gibson probably have a pretty, they kind of like to do similar things. So in some aspect you have that. You used to have it a lot more, back 5 or 10 years ago.
Right.
Where the whole thing was, if you're a crew chief, you've got to know your driver better than your wife, or better than his wife or something. I don't think people necessarily believe that or get that, feel it needs to be that close anymore.
Gotcha. All right, Jimmie Johnson, I say he's the champ. He may go down, but he'll be there in the last round of the fight. That's what I think. For Bob Pockrass and Bass.
No, I'm Buzz.
For Bob Pockrass and Buzz Cutler, I'm Bassmasters. We'll see you next time.
I think we spend too much time together.
Rowdy.com. Say it like it is.
Say what like it is?
Robney.com.